At 65 years old, Richie Sambora, the legendary guitarist and soulful heart behind Bon Jovi's biggest hits, has finally broken his silence about what really went down between him and Jon Bon Jovi. For years, fans speculated about why the man who co-wrote classics like Livin' on a Prayer, Wanted Dead or Alive, and I'll Be There For You suddenly walked away from one of the biggest rock bands in the world. Rumors of fights, egos, and betrayal swirled for nearly a decade. And now, after years of silence, Richie Sambora has finally exposed the truth about Jon Bon Jovi. And it's both shocking and deeply emotional. To the world, Bon Jovi always seemed like the perfect band. A brotherhood built on loyalty, friendship, and shared dreams. But behind the sold-out tours, platinum records, and rock star smiles, cracks had started to form. According to Richie, the tension between him and Jon began years before he officially left the band in 2013. What started as creative disagreements soon became personal. Jon, known for his business-like control over the band's direction, began making more executive decisions that often left Richie feeling sidelined. "It stopped being about music," Richie confessed in a recent interview. "It started feeling like a corporation." For Richie, music was always about heart, about connection, storytelling, and authenticity. He poured his soul into every song he wrote and every guitar solo he played. But as the band grew bigger, he says Jon's vision became more about image and less about substance. "I wanted to make music that meant something," Richie said. But Jon wanted control. Over time, the two men who had once been brothers in arms began drifting apart, their creative chemistry slowly turning into quiet resentment. Still, Richie tried to hold the band together. Even when he was struggling privately with addiction and personal pain, he showed up, playing night after night for millions of fans. But what most people didn't know was that his personal life was falling apart. His daughter Ava, whom he shared with actress Heather Locklear, needed him more than ever. In 2013, faced with the impossible choice between being there for his family or continuing to tour under increasing pressure, Richie chose to walk away. It wasn't a dramatic breakup. It was a heartbreaking decision made out of love. "I didn't quit the band," he said. "I quit a toxic situation." For years after his departure, Jon Bon Jovi barely spoke to him. Interviews were tense. Fans took sides, and the media spun stories of betrayal. But Richie stayed mostly quiet, until recently. Now, he's finally spoken out, revealing that what hurt him most wasn't the fame, the money, or even the separation from the band. It was losing his best friend. "Jon and I were brothers," he said. "We built everything together. But somewhere along the way, we forgot what it was all about." Richie revealed that he tried multiple times to reconcile, reaching out to Jon privately, but their conversations never seemed to lead to healing. "There's pride involved," he admitted. "We both made mistakes, but I think deep down we still care about each other. We just don't know how to say it." His words carry a heavy sadness, the kind that comes from love lost, not hate. Despite the tension, Richie hasn't ruled out a reunion. In fact, he's hinted that if the timing and spirit were right, he'd consider returning for the fans. Not for fame, not for money, but for the legacy they built together. "If it's about the music again," he said, "I'd be there in a heartbeat."